2017 hasn't been very kind to Aaron Carter. Or perhaps we should say that in 2017, Aaron Carter hasn't been very kind to himself. Though he has been experiencing more than his fair share of tragedy, his father passed away in the spring, and he's been open about his health problems. Many of his issues seem to be somewhat self-inflicted. In July, he was arrested for a DUI and for drug possession while cruising around Georgia, and things kind of went downhill from there. The arrest got him some serious attention, so we saw him doing tearful, emotional interviews about how innocent he is. This is also when he revealed his eating disorder and his self-hatred, because sure, what's a little more sadness at this point? Shortly after that, he came out as bisexual, an admirable thing to do, especially considering some of the hateful reactions he received, and shortly after that, his girlfriend, Madison Parker, broke up with him. He said it was because of the bisexual thing, but she's denied that. It was a fair bit of drama, but nothing like what happened earlier this month. Because earlier this month, Aaron was visited by police 4 times in the span of 34 hours. The whole mess started because he'd gotten into a car accident, a bad one. He was uninjured, but he totaled his car. The first police visit was a welfare check, because whoever called had told officers that he'd been doing drugs and drinking a lot lately, and he'd also been talking about buying a gun. He didn't answer the door, and a couple of hours later they returned after receiving a call that he needed a psychological evaluation because he refused medical attention after the accident. The third call was because Aaron was not in a safe mental state and had threatened to harm family and others. And then the fourth call was someone claiming that he'd threatened to kill himself. Nothing came from any of these visits. Police just showed up to make sure he was okay, and he obviously was, so they let him be. But last night, police were called to Aaron's house again. We don't have much information about this visit yet, but Aaron's local police department has stated that we responded to a welfare check at his home this evening. Our officers went out there and found he was not in need of any assistance. Interestingly enough, just a few hours before the latest Aaron Carter welfare check, some of the 911 calls from his earlier welfare check extravaganza were released. And we're more worried about this guy than ever. In one of the calls, an unnamed woman claims that Aaron crashed his car after getting high from inhaling computer duster, and that he's very, very ill. He's on the verge of death. The woman begged them to arrest him, because she'd rather see him go to jail than die. He's been driving drunk all night, she reported. I'm sure he was driving fast and intoxicated. This woman believed things were so serious that she told police that the next time they pay him a visit, it's going to be finding him dead. She also mentioned that he'd been abusing his pets, which is a whole different level of awful. In another call, a woman tells police that Aaron is schizophrenic and bipolar and that he's been trying to purchase a gun and threaten people. Yet another concerned person in Aaron's life called and recounted the story of Aaron's recent appearance on The Doctors, the one where the doctors in question told him that he could die if he didn't go to rehab. This woman says that she's tried to tell him to follow the advice and head off to rehab, but he won't listen. He thinks he's invincible and he's so far gone. He doesn't listen to anything I say. At this point, we can only hope that sometime very, very soon, Aaron starts to listen to all these concerned people around him. Because whatever is happening in his life right now sounds downright terrifying.